Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a JBL Bluetooth speaker here, which is maybe a Charge 3, that's what it says on the back anyway. You know me, I don't actually look anything up before I start. This thing has a knackered USB port, so if we open this up, the USB port in there is pretty goosed. As tends to happen on these Bluetooth speakers, the USB micro connector, it ain't a strong connector. It was great to unify the type of charge connector we used on devices, just unfortunately the one that they settled on wasn't actually that good. Or rather, it was cost optimized too far. The core design of USB micro is pretty good, but at the end of the day, China's going to cheap, you know? In any case, let's try and open this thing up so we can get whatever circuit board that is on out and replace the connector on it. So a lot of Bluetooth speakers have this general design with this kind of like, you know, quote unquote fabric surround on it. It's quite a nice design actually. This is a nice big heavy one. I bet this is actually really good, this speaker. The general approach to these is to find the split in the surround and wedge that open, and the surround should come off, which then reveals all the screw holes and stuff. So I'm going to try and do that now. So I'm going to get a prying tool and just dig in there and just have a look. It's moving. Yeah, okay, that's kind of going places. I think I'm going to need to loosen it all up. Okay, that side definitely seems to be doing less. Oh, there we go. That was a good bit of movement. Oh, always when I start recording. Oh, there we go. There is a hinge. Cool. All right, we're making progress. So, as you can see, we've just exposed the two main speaker drivers. So that's one side open. So I think we need to open the other side as well. As you can see, we're starting to expose screws now that undo all of this. So we seem to be getting where we need to be. So I need to do the same thing for the other side. Right, so that latched with a kind of hook and eye method. So having opened this side, I think this side will now be a bit more amicable. It's not budging. Let's try coming in from the side. It's flexing there, but it's holding on. I wonder if this whole assembly comes off. No, it can't do because the top is still on. Has this still got more to give? Oh, I think it does. Oh, here we go. This is still moving. Ow. There we go. We're rolling over. There we go. We out. Okay, so now we've got the whole thing. So there's our two drivers. There's the back of it. Nothing to see there. However, now we have exposed all of this. There's a little hook there. So we're going to undo these screws. And then that will unhook. And presumably the electronics are all just going to lift out. That's what I think is going to happen. Right, screwdriver. There's the electric boy. That a proper LiPo? I think it might be, as opposed to having some 18650s in it. And is that modular? That'd be very interesting if that's actually a modular battery. I don't think I need to take this battery out, but I'm going to anyway because now I'm curious. It would also be advantageous to actually just disconnect the battery while I'm working on it anyway. Man, the YZH electric screwdriver doesn't sound happy doing this. I'm determined to keep brutalizing this screwdriver and see if it actually breaks, though. I want to know how much abuse these things can actually handle before they break. And sometimes you've got to test to destruction. However, if I actually do manage to break this thing, I'll actually be able to tell people what level of abuse these things will actually take before they break. And if they don't like this kind of really high torque abuse, then I can say, okay, this is what you shouldn't really do with your electric screwdriver. It is a nice big LiPo. 6 amp hours, not bad. 3.7 volt nominal, 6 amp hour. What a beast. However, it doesn't look like I can disconnect it from here. So I'm going to tuck him back in for now. Well sealed in there as well, and it's in its own kind of case, so any kind of fault with the battery would be contained. I've accidentally pressed the power button, it's trying to turn on. This is why I wanted to disconnect the battery. Alright. There we go. Here it comes. Okay, so we've got a 3-pin connector coming in. So it looks like all the control board is going to be back here somewhere. And this is just an I/O board, which is good. So let's disconnect that. It's probably, well, we'll do the pinouts in a moment when I've disconnected these connectors. It's nice that these are actually plugs that can be disconnected. It seems like an obvious thing, but it wouldn't surprise me to have these things all soldered and that we'd have to desolder it all. Okay, there we go. We've got our I/O board out. So looking into the hole that just came out of, you can just see down there that we've got another big circuit board down there. And that's going to be where we've got the 2 drivers plugging into that white connector there that's visible. That's about all I can see, actually. Nothing else visible. It's all going to be pretty well sealed in there. I'm not going to open it up any further, though, just because the next thing that I think we would do is take off these end caps, take off these radiation speakers, radiative speakers, whatever, the woofer bits. You'd take those off, I think, and then you'd be able to split the case apart. But I'm not going to do that because that's going to be a tremendous amount of work to put back together again. And I'm not going to give myself that extra work. So here's our I/O board. We've got a couple more screws to take off. And then we should be able to reveal the top half of the board. And that'll give us access to the USB port, which is where we need to be. Tell you one thing I like about all this already is all of these screws are identical. So putting this thing back together again is actually going to be really easy. It's always nice when you're disassembling a device and all the screws are identical. I love it. Right. Okay, this guy looks like he's sealed against the elements. So I'm going to just do a little bit of prying. Oh, there we go. That wasn't as bad as it suddenly felt. Oh, that's a horridly specialized connector. Darn. Well, we don't have one of those at all. All right. So let's get a look at this then. We've got this connector here. That's coming around. So that looks like that is our auxiliary input. So the aux connector here, that's got a little bit of input stuff around it. And then we've got traces going all the way around the outside to that connector there. Then this is our quote-unquote data input. So that's going to go back to this USB port and this USB port. This guy is obviously just going to be for charging, I would assume. I doubt that's got anything interesting on it. Harman International Industries. Do Harman Kardon do JBL stuff, or do they own them? Interesting, I didn't know that. Oh well. At any rate, so yeah. We've got USB and charge. That's it. That's all there is to see here. Unfortunately, this connector is very much proprietary. I mean, I'm sure there are others. I'm sure it's used in other devices, but it's not the standard SMD connector that sits flush on the board. So we need to track this down. Let's see what we can find. Right, time for eBay. Let's see. So, what was this thing? It was a JBL Charge 3, we reckon. So let's try JBL Charge 3 USB. Oh, I saw it and then it disappeared. There you go, that looks like... Oh, £8, really? £3, that's more like it. Why the hell is that one twice the price? Let's open up both of those and compare them. Oh, that's a Charge 2. Ah, weak. Charge 3, that one's cheap. Let's see if they got a picture of it. I won't buy if there's no picture. Don't give me this. I want a picture. I want to see what I'm buying. I want to look at the picture and go, yes, that looks like what I've got. And then we've got international sellers, which is fine if you can't find it. However, obviously, UK is preferred for me because then it means I'm going to get it in a couple of days instead of a week. There's another one at £6. Let's open that just for good measure. And micro fits all. All right, let's have a look at that one as well. Looks like they've got it for multiple devices there. Right, let's look at what we just opened up. So, Charge 3, that's exactly what we want. This looks absolutely correct. However, it's £8 for a USB port, which is daylight robbery in my opinion. So let's see. So this is our baseline. Let's see if we can do better than this. So this is for a Charge 2. That does not look as tall as the one in the device. If we open up that picture and if we compare it to, let's compare it to that one. It's difficult to do a direct comparison because none of these pictures are really good. They don't have nice side-on profiles that actually show you the height. But you can visibly see that this one is much taller than that one. So that guy is not going to fit. That's not the right one, so we'll close that. Charge 3 connector. Good, he does have a picture of it. That looks good. Again, no measurements. We need bananas for scale, people. Give us a banana for scale. That looks pretty good, though. So if we do the comparison, we look at the height-wise. We've got a bit of metal, then a square, then a bit of metal, square, bit of metal. So those, you can see just by eyeing up the shape and design of it that these two are the same. So that looks good, except this one is half the price. Again, we're not buying multiples or anything, are we? Yeah, no. It's just really expensive. This guy's got it for £3.30. Now, £3.30, that's still a lot for, that's like $4. That's still a lot for a USB connector. However, considering we're doing this in one-offs, I don't really care. If I was mass repairing these speakers and doing a dozen a day, I'd want to be buying these for pence each kind of thing, and I'd be buying 100 of them from China. However, as single one-off repairs, sure, £3.30, I'll pay that. So that looks like that's our leading one. Let's close the original one. What's the next one we got? That's £6. That also looks correct, but it's £6. And £2.20. So model for Charge 3. £2.50. However, the picture that they've linked to here, that does not look right. Let's have a quick look through the other pictures they've got here and see if any of them look right. See, these are all generic. These are all generic flush mount USB connectors here. That looks right. That's for a JBL Extreme. That one also looks right, and that's for a Charge 2 Plus. Yeah, see, this one is slightly cheaper, and I think that's correct. Where was the other tall one? That one there. Yeah, those two are the same. That's exactly the same, and he's charging slightly less for the JBL Extreme. So that's £2.20. So that's a quid, £1.10 cheaper, and I would wager that that would fit. I'm gonna pay. No, that one's really expensive. Skip that. Those are clearly the same. Yeah, this guy's cheaper. We're buying this one. I mean, if I were going belt and braces, I would buy this one because this is advertised as being for a JBL Charge 3, which is what we've got. Whereas this one, if this is not compatible, then I don't have any recompense here because they're going to say, well, what are you trying to fix? I'm going to say I'm trying to fix a Charge 3. And they're going to say, we didn't advertise this as being compatible with the Charge 3. However, the one that they says is for the Charge 3 is like that one, and that is clearly not the right connector. So I'm going to buy this one for advertised as being for a JBL Extreme because it's cheaper. And what I'm going to do is, because that's cheaper, I'm going to buy two of them. So if I cock up soldering one of them, I'll have a spare. So now, instead of paying £6.60 for two, I'm now paying £4.40, which is much more agreeable. So again, for multiple repairs, this would be ridiculously overpriced. But for a one-off repair, I'm fine with that. And I'll buy two of them just in case I screw it up. Buy it now. Right, our USB ports have arrived, and as you can see, they're big old tall boys. So that's exactly what we need. So let's get the old one off. So I'm going to take off just some of this. I'm going to try and take off some of this sealer. And I'd like to try and remove this gracefully so I can put it back on again afterwards. Well, I don't know if we're going to get away with that. That's broken there anyway, so I'm just going to... Oh, I can't tear it. Man, that's tougher than it looked. There we go. Right, and I'm just going to grab a little bit of Captain tape, and I'm just going to shield this capacitor against the hot air, just so I don't damage that guy. He'd be alright, but I might end up melting the base slightly, and I would like to avoid that. There we go. It's not going to do a huge amount, but it'll do something. It'll keep the worst of the heat away. Okay. Right, so now we're going to hot air this guy out, and then we'll clear up the holes and put the new one in. Okay, right. The port has been removed. I'm now going to try and clear the holes with my desoldering gun. This is actually the first time I've used this in anger since buying it. I haven't actually needed it for anything, but I haven't been doing many jobs like this where I've had some holes to clear. So please excuse me if I'm still a bit of an amateur with this thing. So what I'm going to do, I will add some flux because everyone wants flux. I'm not sure how much it actually helps in this instance because I'm going to suck all the flux up, but whatever. And as before, I'm going to wet the joins because I don't care what anyone else said. This was helpful to me when I was practicing earlier. Right. Right, let's give that a go. Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing. Nah, that one didn't go so well. Excellent. There we go. As you can see, we've got lovely clear holes. Now I'm just going to warm up my soldering iron and I'm just going to re-tin the pads, and then we can stick our new USB port on top of that. There we go. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to solder down all those anchors, and then we'll just solder the pins at the back, and we are done. And we could add flux to this, however, it's through-hole components, guys. You don't need flux for this. If you need flux for this, there's something wrong with your technique. There, I said it. I will use flux on the pins on the back. You need flux for these anchors, you're doing something wrong. I should have actually viced this up though, I can tell you that much. There we go. Now I just need to get this round to an angle where I can get to the pins at the back. And we are absolutely going to flux these boys because they're very small and that changes things. End of the flux syringe. Right, this is kind of awkward to do on camera because I can't put it at an angle where we can see everything and feed solder in as well. So if it looks like I'm working cack-handedly, it's because I'm doing it for the camera. I think most of that solder went on top of the iron, but that's fine. There we go, we got too much in there. Let's clear the iron. Touch that up. There we go. And inspect. They are all soldered. That'll do. I'm happy with that. And I shall squirt some alcohol on it to dissolve the last of the flux. There we have it, like I bought one. Let's put this sealer gasket bit back on and we'll be able to start putting all of this back together again. There we go. Done and done. Now we just got to put in all those screws again. Let's get to it. So the thing that just made that super easy was definitely having the desoldering gun on hand. Without that, I would have had to use solder wick to clear those holes. And it's absolutely doable, it's just a pain in the backside. I've solder wicked many holes before, and it's quite common to never quite get them clear enough. So yeah, having that desoldering gun on hand that just insta-cleared the holes, really, really helpful. So putting that back on, that's now weather sealed again, so we should find that this is relatively weatherproof, and also it's also airtight, which will help avoid sound from leaking around, because obviously the enclosure of the speaker is pressurized by the speakers themselves in order to drive these radiator speakers. If you don't have internal pressure, then these guys won't move, and that kills the bass response. I did scorn at them when I first encountered them. However, from looking at other Bluetooth speakers, they really work those bits. It's quite amazing. There we go. God, that was a little bit fiddly to get all of that back in there. I'm just going to put a screw on each side, and then we'll just go do a quick charge test just to make sure that we're all good before I put in all the screws for real. Okay, so there's our charge indicator. USB in. There we go. And we're on charge. Good. And just for good measure, I'll turn it on. Cool, yeah. However, it was alive beforehand anyway. There was a trickle in the battery. So we already knew that it worked. However, the important thing is that it's actually charging now. So, good. Let's get it fully assembled. No, it could take them out, but it can't put them back in again. Right, and now it should just be a matter of snapping this front cover back on. So the back section goes on first. And then the front section. Oh, there we go. That was a nice click. You get a nice click? There we go. Oh, that was good. When it's on, you'll know. So I think to get this front bit over again, we've got to make sure we're pushing down here. Got to push that bit forward so it goes over, and it's got to hook over. It can't just hinge down. It has to hook over the top. But at the same time, these guys have got to hook under. There we go. I think that's it. How's that looking? Okay. And once again, plug that guy in, and we are charging. I'm going to leave that on charge for a bit to get some power into it, and then we shall fire it up and just make sure it works. I'm assuming it will work while it's charging, actually. Let me grab an aux cable. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. All my support links are down in the description below, and they'll also pop up on the end card in just a moment, including my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitter accounts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.